Welcome to episode 39 of Real Talk with a Vulnerable Angel and Friends. I am your host, Dominica May, the Vulnerable Angel. Tonight's episode is Life Regrets. And at the moment, I am joined by one of my regular guests, Mike, and we may or may not be joined by Shard a little bit later on. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks for having me. Oh, wait, I thought I clicked the button. Anyway,
I'm like, where are you? Oh my God.
thanks for having me.
Wow, you
I
look
just
like
got new glasses.
you're a new kind of superhero slash villain.
You call me the
Scissor
super.
Man. Very different from Edward Scissorhands because it's your scissor face.
I can't look from side to side, otherwise, I poke people in the eyes.
Like, you look so different without your glasses.
I know, I really do. I have this thought from time to time that, like, if ever I wanted to rob a bank or something, I just I do what I'm gonna do, blinded, and then I walk out, I put my glasses on,
But
and it's
see, what this is showing me is how actually realistic the Clark Kent
the
Superman
Superman
thing
thing.
is. Like,
Yeah,
genuinely possible if you're that
yeah.
different. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So weird. All right. So if you are just joining us for the first time and you're not sure what we do, we just like to have a deep.
We're not sure what we do.
Yeah, that's true. But we do try to have deep and vulnerable conversations, talking about things from our real life experiences, about topics that, tend to be harder for other people to discuss, especially in public. So, as I said, this week's topic is life regrets. And this was suggested by my dad in a private message last week, just before I think it was just after I'd set last week's topic. So I'm like, well, we'll make it for the next topic. But what's interesting to me about this, which might make things a little bit challenging, is that I don't really have a strong relationship with regrets, like life regrets in itself. And I'll explain why. Because, like, in my very early adult years, or possibly late teens, there was this guy in my life who basically told me that he tried to live his life with no regrets. And so that kind of stuck with me. And
Mm.
so I've kind of taken that with me over the years. And I'm like, even when I have those experiences where I'm like, oh man, that sucked, and I kind of regret that, I will then take that situation and like find the positive in it, or like, what is the lesson here? And then ultimately that leads to me to feel like, well, it's not really a regret because I did get this thing out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was having a video call with a different friend of mine just before this stream, and he asked me what the topic was tonight, and then I told him that, and he's like, what are your regrets? Because he knows this about me, like that
Yeah.
I like always look for that positive thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how I answer the questions tonight.
It's I think about this from time to time as well, in terms of like how I live my life, how I make my decisions, stuff like that. And I've always kind of been about the same um, perspective of try to live your life with no regrets. Like some opportunities come once in a lifetime. And let me use pole vaulting as an example. When I was in high school, uh, I was not attracted to sports. Sports have never been my thing, but I wanted to be on the track team. I thought, you know what, I could do something in the track sphere, because it's so varied. It's not just running. Like, you can do all kinds of stuff. And there was a pole vaulting team, and I thought to myself, when in the rest of my life am I ever going to have the opportunity to do this? If I want to run, I can run. Like, you don't need special equipment to run. If you want a shot put, guess what? Go pick up something heavy and throw it. When are you actually going to have that opportunity to pole vault?
Mm.
And so I did it. And that kind of put me on track of like, you know what? YOLO. You only live once. Make the most creative decisions and the ones that are going to be the most interesting to you in the moment. And if it turns out to, fuck your life up, well then, at least you made a decision based on the moment.
Yeah, you took action instead of inaction, because it's
Yeah.
usually, this is what my friend earlier was mentioning also, like it's the actions not taken that you're more likely to regret than the ones that you do.
Right.
Because at least you know what the outcome was when you do
Yeah.
it. When
Mhm.
you don't take an action, it's like, whoa, what could have been? Like the what ifs of if you had done the thing. Yeah. When you mentioned the YOLO thing, I was thinking YOLO unless you want the FOMO.
That's I've never heard it put that way, but yeah, that's
I
true.
don't I don't think that I've never heard anyone say that. Like that came to me just like as you were saying.
YOLO unless you want the FOMO.
YOLO unless you want the FOMO. All right, let's bring up our questions. Most of the questions tonight come from ChatGPT's suggestions. But
You
if we
said
make
most?
Yes, if we make it to the last question, then that was written by me because I was thinking of something else I wanted to that I thought was a good question, which
Like,
ChatGPT did not suggest, so I wrote my own. All right.
first question.
First question is what's a decision you still regret today and what makes it linger? I guess like so I know we've both mentioned like we try to live with no regrets, but I think if we look take this in the spirit of it, like um the lessons that we learn from it, like and thinking about that after the fact, are there anything like is there any situation where we've thought about afterwards how we could have done things differently, and
Yeah.
that like that,
Um,
yeah.
so here's one example that jumps out. Like there's always the decisions of omission that
Mm,
I think we regret. And I'll tell a story about my father in just a minute. But the sin of commission, uh, that I think I could have, I don't necessarily regret it because nothing bad happened, but I do regret it because it was such a bad choice that I made.
mm,
Something really terrible could have happened. Um, one time I went down to, this was years ago. I went down to Mexico City with some friends, and everyone just stayed at the hotel. Like we had a long day of just going out and, seeing the town. I still wanted to go out and do more, and nobody else wanted to go. So they all wanted to stay at the hotel, have a drink, just kind of put the feet up, rest, relax. And I was like, screw it, I'm gonna go out. I'm just gonna see where the city takes me. And I hopped on the subway train. I have no idea where I was at the time, but like I hopped on the subway train and I thought, I'm gonna take this to the end of the line, and I'm gonna get off and I'm just going to walk around and just explore the neighborhood, because this is something that I would do from time to time in my travels. Whenever I go to Prague, or whenever I would go to Prague, there was one time I went to Prague. Um, my sister came with me. She got food poisoning, so I was like, "Screw it! You're not going to ruin my vacation. I'm just going to go out and explore." Right. Uh, so sometimes going out to explore a city on my own where nobody knows where I am. I'm young, I'm dumb. Like I feel very confident in it. Like even still, if I were still to do this, I still feel relatively confident that I'm good. I don't usually feel like I'm in danger. Um, but boy, oh boy, like just being on your own, nobody knows where I'm at in a foreign country, uh, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know where I am. I don't speak the language, and I so clearly stick out like a sore thumb. All of those things combined, I have made some dumb choices. So what makes it linger? The fact that I so easily could have disappeared.
Yeah.
Like, what if something happened?
No, that's bringing back a memory of mine of my first trip to Canada. And so I was in Canada for I think 10 days, maybe 2 weeks or something like that. The first week that I was there, I was allowed to stay with somebody I knew and his roommate because I was there to lose my virginity to one of them. But it's like, you can only stay for a week. I'm like, that's fine. But I wanted to stay longer because I was there also in part for the Toronto International Film Festival. But that meant I need...
If
Yes, TIFF, that's right. And that meant that I had to move my from where I was staying at that apartment to a youth hostel. I'm pretty sure I was staying at a youth hostel for the rest of the time. And I think the first night that I switched, or at least one of the nights that I might have hung out with them and then went to the youth hostel later, but I just recall this one night where I walked from that apartment to the youth hostel at like 2 a.m. by myself. I was 20 years old and like thought nothing of it being like I'm at risk, right? And I've done like so many of these kinds of experiences where genuinely I'm walking on my own so many places and I could be at risk, and I've never been in a situation where I've actually been in danger.
Yeah.
But I've also had those moments where I'm like, why have I never been like because a lot of things, like sometimes they are places that other people would see, oh, I would never walk there alone at night or whatever. I have been more at risk when my ex-husband and I, when we were in Cape Town, went walking at night together, and we had a guy who tried to rob us and like threatened to like assault us or whatever, and we managed to get away and we weren't hurt or anything, but like that was risky than all the times that I've walked by myself in the middle of the night where it's dark and there's no one else around. And I'm just like, it kind of blows me away that I'm like, sometimes I've thought, do I just give off this vibe to anyone around that I'm not worth attacking? Like, what is up with that?
Okay,
I have
so
no idea.
there is I have this saved in my phone. I'm trying to find it real quick before I waste too much time. There is a phenomenon. Oh man, where is this? There is a phenomenon that exists about the longer you go without incident, the safer you feel. Oh, this is killing me. All right. Let me ask. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT because this is.
So what, the safer you feel, the more confident that you go walking around, and so then if you don't appear frightened, then people are less likely to
Well, it's not just about that, but it's like a psychological condition that we as human beings. Hold on, let me find it for you.
no worries.
What
Well,
is the phenomenon known? Hold on, I got my hold on.
well, while you're figuring that out, I'm just gonna bring up Lego Timmy is in the chat waving to us, and he says episode 39. Wow, mind blown emoji. I know, right? Like we're getting up there now.
what is the phenomenon called where the longer you go without incident, the more confident you feel you are safe? Uh, the safety paradox. No, this isn't. I'll have to find it later because it's
No
like
worries.
it's like an actual thing where like yeah, you keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper into danger. Think like case in point, here we are on planet Earth. In none of our
Oh, right.
lifetimes in recorded history,
Mm.
the planet has never been struck by a massive meteor or asteroid or whatever, like a life-ending event type thing, right? So we just kind of feel like, oh, well, it's just never going to happen
Yeah.
until it does.
Until it does, right? Yeah. So I guess my answer to this question is not the same because like stuff like that like does not linger for me. It's like I have to be reminded of it like I was. So I guess um would be the times that I didn't handle relationships and relationship endings as well as I could have. Um,
Yeah.
Probably the biggest one would be the most recent one because it was just such a stupid like misunderstanding and we both got hurt as a result of it. And uh even though like I'm past it now and it seems like I have learned and grown and evolved from it, um which may not have happened if we'd stayed together, uh, it's still like I know I could have handled that situation way better than I did. um, because like all I needed was to think like ask for clarity instead of leaning into my assumptions and then making decisions on those assumptions. Like it's just it's stupid. But I mean, at least it's led to the the point now where I guess I'm going to head into the next question because it's related. Has one of your regrets shaped the way you live now? Yes, absolutely. It's impacted how I am now, and it is to the point now where because I kind of had that experience, um, I've managed to reach a point in the past week-ish, I think, uh, week or two, where I had some like confusing conversations with someone, and it led me to wonder: had this person thought about me romantically at all, or like wondered a what if kind of situation between us at all in the entire time that we'd known each other, since he had initially rejected me over 20 years ago. Like it seemed like he was attracted to me then, but he turned me down because of the age difference and my age in particular. But we still have stayed in touch. And so when we had these conversations, like there were some things that he said that I'm just like, why would you have said that if you hadn't thought about the possibility of us being romantically
Yeah.
connected? And like I knew if I didn't ask, I would have ruminated on it and wondered, what the fuck was that about? What did that mean? Like, because to me, the kinds of things that he was saying, I like if I had said them, I wouldn't have said those things unless I had previously thought about them.
Yeah.
Whereas, like with him, okay. So, anyway, I decided, you know what, I'm going to be brave. I'm going to reach out. I think I can trust him well enough to understand that, I'm not looking for anything in particular. I'm just like curious. Like I want to sate my curiosity about this so I can be done and dusted and move on with my life. So I did. I ended up asking him, if he'd ever thought about that. And it took him a few days to respond. And I did say, like, if it take your time, like, I know like there's going to be a, a bit of a question that might take some time. Oh, Sharon's just joined us, so let me bring in.
Sharon's here.
Bonjour.
Hi,
So
buddy.
very sorry, guys. I was pulling an unexpected all-nighter last night. So
I think what you meant to say is that you're late because you were shaving.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Neither do I.
I don't like it.
You'll just have to let it grow out again.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Why did you shave your face? Do you regret shaving your face?
I do. Like oh god, I look like I'm 10 again, and I don't like it. It's so.
Are you like in a play or something that requires you to be clean shaven? What's going on?
I wish. No, it was just one of those things where I just thought, like, let's just go for a change. Maybe it'll be nice.
Oof.
And then as soon as the bubble was done, I looked in the mirror. I was like, this was a mistake.
At least it's a reversible mistake. It can take some time to grow back, but it's reversible.
Yeah. So hopefully in a couple of weeks, my old mane will be back, and then we'll be fine. So we'll see about that. I just won't leave the house until then.
So Dominica is currently in the middle of a story of telling how one of her regrets has shaped the way that she currently makes her decision making.
Yeah. So I was talking about someone who I had connected with recently, or reconnected with recently. We had some conversation about some stuff that led me like ruminating on what did that mean, what did it mean. And so because of a past regret, I decided to reach out directly and send him a direct message to ask, as scary as it was to do. I think one of the things that helped me is I had no attachment to any response that he would give me. If he had said, oh yes, I had actually thought about things, then I might have had a particular reaction to it, but like it also would have been fine to get the response that I did get, which was no, never. Never thought about us romantically in all this time. So I was glad that I reached out and did that. I'm glad that I, prefaced it with like a bunch of things of like, just so you know, like I have long ago accepted that you were not interested in me romantically or sexually. So like I was already in a place of like, it doesn't matter like what his response is. If it turned out that he was interested in me, then I might have been open to exploring what that meant, but I doubted that was going to happen. But it helped to hear or like read the response, which was no. Like, great, now I don't have to ruminate on that. I feel like that whole history is done and dusted, because there was a long time where I genuinely wanted to hook up with him for a few years after he had rejected me. He even came out to my wedding, and the night before, a couple of nights before the wedding, he was like, if you still want to sleep with me in 5 years, let me know and we'll make it happen. So like that is the stuff that was like in my memory of what our history was. And and that was like 19 years ago now. 19 years ago that whole conversation happened. So it's not like it's not like there's anything that's that I've been pining for him all this time, right? Like I've moved on with my life, and I've met other people who gave me different experiences. But with that kind of history, like even a couple of years ago, if we had caught up and had that conversation, all those conversations before I'd gotten back together with my last ex, I probably not probably well, I potentially would have tried to see if we could have made something happen just because of that like past like because like there's that like I want to feel that experience because I didn't get it in the past and I still want it now like that sort of thing.
Mm.
But I maybe because I've been through the experience of things still not working out and knowing now what I want because of mistakes that I'd made, it was a lot easier for me to just go in and chat with him with like no expectations, no desire for something to
So
happen.
let me ask you this: what, like, in the spirit of the question, how did that experience change, or rather, shape how you live your life now?
Right. So the regret that I that from this situation was the ending of my last relationship. The um of not asking for clarity and like using my assumptions to make decisions. And that led to us like or him ghosting me, right? And so that experience, that was the regret. I didn't handle that situation well. That experience led to me deciding I want to live with rather than ruminating on uh what somebody meant by whatever they said because I my brain likes
Yeah.
to think about things. I'm just going to ask. I want to ask for clarity
Mm,
instead of
yeah.
making assumptions now.
Being more assertive to get what you want, even if what you want isn't what you want, but it's still a version of what you
Even
want.
if it's scary, even if it's I mean, this was a relatively safe example, but at least the advantage of having that safe experience will hopefully help me to continue to follow that methodology going forward
Yeah.
of those moments where even when it is scarier or the stakes are higher that it'll be part of that like when the more times you experience doing something the easier it gets, that kind of thing. So when you can practice it in a safer, controlled environment, then when it does get into those higher stakes situations, hopefully you'll have had enough experiences, positive experiences with doing the thing that you can move forward, even if it's still scary.
Yeah. I think for me, earlier I touched on there was a story that I wanted to share about my dad, and I think this is probably a right time to bring that up. Earlier, I had also mentioned that, as did you, Dominica, that we don't like to live our lives with the potential for regret. And so I think this may have actually been the genesis of that for me, which there was a story that my dad would tell. Um, and think what you will about the very controversial topic of elephant tusk ivory, but my dad during Vietnam was in Hawaii, and he found a carving of it was one piece of elephant tusk, and it was all hand carved, and it was this very ornate bridge motif, um, very large. And at the time, keep in mind this was in the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s, so it was only $100. I mean, it was, $100 was much more expensive back then, but my dad didn't have $100 on him, and he always there was something about that piece that just really spoke to him, and he just fell in love with it, but he didn't have the money, so he couldn't buy it. And he always kind of regretted that. And I think for me, that story about my dad, and he would bring it up from time to time, like he really kind of pined after this piece,
Hmm.
that have it, and it really, I don't know, did something for him. But that story always stuck with me, and that, like, I don't want to live my life in that way. So I think it's not so much of a regret of my own, but I know it was a regret of my father's that kind of put me on that path of, I'm just going to make my own choices and decisions. Do what I think is going to be fun and interesting and good for me in the moment. And if it's not, well, then I'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But at least, hopefully, I am making the decisions that I feel good making.
Yeah.
So
So another example of that, you regret the things that you didn't do more than the things that you did do.
agreed. How about you, Sharon?
Oh boy. I don't know. Like, I try to live my life Hakuna Matata one day at a time. I think it's tricky because um, one of the things that really kind of got to me was maybe not doing more than you think that you possibly could. When I was in the hospital, after I was initially diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, I was very, very worried that I wouldn't be able to walk again. And at this point, mind you, I'm paralyzed from the neck down, and I can't even feed myself. I can't go to the bathroom by myself, and it's a nightmare. And I remember at that point, I was thinking, God, how many days have I spent just not doing anything and making myself think, like, every time that you have that thought, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, never do that again, right? So I think in some ways, like, you really have to get up off your bum and just do the thing, whether it's doing, like, going out or doing this or telling that person your feelings, etc., etc. You just have to do it, for better or for worse. So yeah.
As baby day draws closer, I find myself more and more increasingly, gotta get up off my butt. Can't just sit here watch TV for 3 hours every morning.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the fact is, if you're doom scrolling on your phone for like a good 2 hours the first thing in the morning, when like, maybe just reach out to a friend of yours and just go, hey buddy, hope you're doing well, haven't spoken to you in a few years, hope all's good. Just do that.
Yeah.
It's a good example. I'm terrible at doing that reach out kind of thing. I'm very much more in the living my life where I'm just like, I will spend time with people who reach out to me, but I'm tired of reaching out to people and not hearing, like, or making plans or whatever. So I was like, whatever.
And in 20 years, we're going to hear the tale that he doesn't have any friends.
No,
but I've been like, look, I've just told you about me reconnecting with someone that I met
No, I know.
Because he reached out to me, right? Like, so, I leave a strong enough of an impression on people. They will reach out to me and I will be fine.
Fair play.
Fair enough. You do you.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Next question.
It was actually the second question. I skipped it because it was a good segue from the last one. Is there a moment you wish you could redo, not erase, but approach differently? I feel like my answer is going to be related to my last two answers as well. So I'm going to let you guys go first.
Yes. Strong arm my parents into letting me go to acting school or filmmaking school, one or the other, primarily a performing arts university. That is something, because of course, like, we always have the benefit of hindsight, right? The performing arts is something that my folks have never wanted me to get into. Now that I'm in it and I'm I'm not going to say I'm successful, but I'm doing well enough at it. Even before my dad died, I was doing decently at it. And I remember he would say stuff to me, "Oh, I can't wait until, you get that big break, and oh, you really become a big famous comedian." And I'm like, "Okay, hang on a second. Where's this coming from, Jerry? Because 6 years ago you were like, you'll never make anything of yourself, and now here you are." Like, it was this disconnect. Not that I don't want my parents to champion for me. Of course I do, but um, at the time growing up, they from their perspective, performing artists can't fend for themselves. They can't make a living, and it's, you're going to be homeless on the street kind of thing. So uh, uh, it's a double-edged sword though, because I like the way that my life has turned out. Got a good job at bartending at Lucky's, and you know. If things hadn't turned out the way that they would, I never would have met my wife. So it's like everything falls into place the way that it's supposed to. But I have said to myself in the past, I do wish that I could have gone to a performing arts, not a technical arts, but a performing arts school.
Yeah.
What were you talking about?
No, I already said that my answer is going to be related to my last two answers. So I want to see if you have something.
No, fair. I don't know. I don't really have anything. The one thing I always do think about, at least in the last few months, if not last year, was probably spending more time with my mum before she passed. When my mum was ill,
Lame.
Shut up! Come on, this is sensitive.
yeah, really. I don't know. I think that maybe just because we didn't know that. I mean, we knew that her health was not great, but we had no idea that it was that serious. I think maybe if I myself was more aggressive in terms of figuring out which doctors she should see and what she should do, and maybe spend more time with her. I think that's something that I definitely would have done, because even though Mum's health wasn't great, um, obviously she got COVID from her nurse, right? And that's what eventually took her own life. And like it just, yeah, and the fact is that the nurse um, didn't know, or what have you, and it's one of those things where I just wish I was just a bit more hands on. That's all.
Yeah.
Mm.
I can understand that. It's it's common, I think, to want to spend more time with loved ones after they're gone. Like when you realize there's no more of those kinds of moments, would have been nice to have a little bit more.
Yeah. At the end of the day, though, I think we'll always say, "Oh, I just wish we had more time." But at the end of the day, though, that's all we do have.
Yeah.
And your own choices.
Yeah.
Your own choices. That's great.
Very true.
All right. Okay, my turn. All right. So the redo moment. So the regret that I have brought up in the last couple of questions was when I was with my last partner. It was a situationship. I'd gone to Malaysia to spend 10 days with him. And then at the very end of the trip, he took me to the airport. We were having lunch together. It was all very nice. Things seemed to be fine. We were making jokes about, seeing each other again. Like he, like when I was checking in at the at the check-in counter. I was like, it's just me. And he was like, unfortunately. And then when I went to give him like my leftover ringgit, like, here, you can have the rest of my money. He's like, no, save it for next time you're here. So like there was this expectation that we would see each other again. But I let my assumptions that he didn't want to have a committed relationship with me set in, and so I brought up. I can't remember just off the top of my head like how it kind of came about. Read my memoir if you want the details, because it's very detailed in there once I publish it. But the conversation as it ensued led to us both being very confused and figuring that the relationship was over. And that conversation I would like to have a redo, even if it led to us still breaking up. The thing that I would want to redo is ask for clarity and tell him how I actually felt about him. I never told him that I was still in love with him from years before. Like I never did, because I was too afraid of being too fast with sharing my feelings, because I knew that he was a little bit, he could get overwhelmed by moving too fast with things. And so I tried to hold back and wait for him to like go at his pace. So yeah, that's my main thing. Like I wish I had told him how I felt in the moment, because maybe if I had, he wouldn't have misinterpreted a post that I made on Facebook that led him to think that the time that I just spent with him didn't mean anything to me. Because I'm just like, how the fuck do you get that? Like, I spent 10 days with you. How does that not mean anything to me? Which I didn't find out that that's how, he dealt with that situation until months later. So yeah, that's the moment that I would want to approach differently.
Interesting.
Even if it still led to us breaking up, at least I would have said my actual feelings.
That's a tough thing, right?
Yeah.
Like we're always, I mean, for heaven's sakes, we've all been in those situations where like you want to say the thing, but you just can't get yourself to do it.
Yeah.
And
So then you end up saying the opposite of what you're
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
I remember specifically saying, I just feel like we want different things. Like, what the fuck? That was based on assumption of what I didn't know what he actually wanted. I just assumed.
Well, like we also do that thing too where, you know, you're the first person to say I love you and the other person hesitates.
Well,
And
that's
then
exactly.
and then you try to save face and say, "Oh, well, I was just kidding. Oh,
Yeah.
I was just kidding."
But
Why do you take that back? Double down on it.
well, this is the thing, and this is the reason I did hold back, was because I had previously, like 10 years earlier, told him that I loved him, and he didn't respond in kind.
Yeah.
And like, so that was my history of like, well, I don't want to be the first one to say it, because what if he doesn't say it back?
Yeah.
I don't want to go through that again. But hindsight is 2020,
Here
as
we
they
are.
say.
Here we are.
Yeah, I feel you on that one.
It's tough. All right,
Yeah.
next
Cool.
question.
FYI, I got 10 minutes.
10
You
more
got me
minutes.
for another 10.
All right. We have.
He says as he claps his belly.
That's all right. Sharon and I can continue after you leave. It is all good. Mike has to get up early tomorrow, and Mike is on the East Coast, so it's already quite late there.
Going to improv camp tomorrow, y'all.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Also, if we do happen to have any viewers, feel free to leave any comments or related questions in the chat. We do love to have audience participation interaction. If you just want to watch, that is cool too. All right. Next question is, can you recall a regret tied to something you didn't do rather than something you did?
I feel like that's all we've talked about.
Yeah,
It was definitely my last. It's like what I did not do. Didn't tell him I loved him. Yeah, fine. Anyone got any other example?
I'm gonna flip this because there was in the last question when Sherrod was talking, you jogged a memory for me of when this is a terrible thing to admit, but it's also true, and hopefully I've changed. Not hopefully, I know I've changed. Um, hopefully I've changed enough. With my first cat, Minerva, I fucking love Minerva so much. She died 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago. It was very sad and heartbreaking. But when Minerva was a kitten, I had never been really a pet owner ever before. A couple lizards here and there, but I mean, like they're all in like their own terrarium and whatever. It's not like a dog or a cat, right? So, uh, as an early 20 something who had never had a pet before, there were some ways that I treated her that were not the most respectful towards animals. And I deeply regret that. I deeply regret the way that because to us we were just playing. We like I thought it was funny. Um but I'm sure from her perspective she was, what the fuck is happening? I'm terrified. Why are you doing this to me, Dad? That kind of stuff. And sometimes she would piss me off and I wouldn't handle it the best. And over the years I've taken notice of this and gone, oh my gosh, like why did I do that? That was a terrible thing to do. And when she died, I told my wife like all the terrible egregious things that I felt like I'd done. And she was like, yeah, that's not great. But at the end of the day, she loved you. And here's how you know that she loved you is because she wasn't afraid of you.
Mm.
She was never afraid of you. She would cuddle up with you. She would sit on your chest. She would purr. Um, she was constantly hanging around me. And, she was a cat, so she was constantly on her own too. But, she made it known how much she liked my company. And so I think for me, like that, I take that in solace as best as I can. Because again, like once a loved one, be it, a human or a pet, is gone, like our choices are final. There's no redos. There's no takesy backsies. There's no apologies left to be given. And so like, yeah, I regretted that a lot. So, can you recall a regret tied to something you didn't do, or rather that I did? Yeah, so yeah, and I know that I've changed because in the past, like the last 10 years of her life, I tried to treat her like a queen, but even with these little fuzzy nuggets down here, the way that I treat them is completely different. And it sucks. It sucks that we have those learning curves in our lives that deeply affect other people. And sometimes they leave scars. And I hate that that's how life works, but boo. Come at me, ASPCA.
Well, yeah. The thought that
Is
comes
what
to
it
mind,
is.
the thought that comes to mind for completely unrelated to anything else I've said so far of something I didn't do rather than something I did. I regret the the things that I did and slash didn't do as a result of my depression in my daughter's formative years, because I feel like I can see the impact that it has had on her now. It didn't seem to have like impact on her at the time, but I feel like the way I see things now, I mean, we still have like we have a great relationship. I don't want to go into her. I don't want to share private things about her. So it's more just like there are things that I feel like I could have done better to maybe help her to be more open the way that my son is. Like my son is much more open and authentic and sharing his feelings and like not afraid of that. Like he will talk to me about things. My daughter is a lot more closed off, and I feel like that is because of how I handled things when she was younger. And yeah, so there's just so much that I feel like I could have done. Like I wish that I could have done better. And as my therapist has said to me, I did the best that I could with what I was dealing with at the time.
Yeah.
And I do recognize that. Like it's really hard to parent properly when you're going through so much depression as a result of essentially experiences that are like emotionally abusive, psychologically abusive kind of stuff. That's a lot to deal with, and it means that it's a lot harder to manage your other relationships and things when you can't even take care of yourself very well because it's so much. But yeah, and I don't know how I could have like changed things, but there's still that wish that I could have, you know?
Yeah.
I think that apathy is definitely the death of all creative things, isn't it? And it's definitely a true source of regret. I think having being apathetic to something, it's not really tied to something. In my experience, not really tied to one or two or even three specific things. It's a mindset. The fact is that if you don't do anything after a while, I mean, it might seem like it's definitely the easier option. There's less hassle for you. I think at the end of the day, though, all it can really do is give you regret, because either A, you want a part of something that turned out to be fantastic, or B, you were not part of something which you could have improved on. You know, so I think apathy on the whole is a definite killer, and it's something that affects us from not all time from time, but all the time. And I think it's something that we need to really kind of pinch ourselves whenever we see it coming.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
Pinch. Pinch, 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 pinch.
Honk, honk.
Honk, honk.
Wait. What are you doing?
I'm sorry. Do that again?
Honk, honk. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Honk, honk, honk.
Well, I don't feel like there's a better exit for me than a boob honking joke. So
There you go. Get some sleep. Have fun at your improv camp.
will do. Sorry that my last entry to this particular episode has been kind of a downer.
We are discussing life regrets. There should be a lot of downers being discussed on this one.
Totally fair. Totally fair. Well, have a great discussion without me. And without further ado, next question.
Next question. Just for me and Sharon. Has anyone ever expressed regret over the way they treated you? And how did hearing it affect you?
Huh. Ironically, no. I have told people that I've regretted the way I treated and behaved around them. Never the other way.
Never,
So never,
really.
never the other way. No, I don't think so. So um, maybe when I was a kid, my mother told me that she actually apologized because she said that um, she was putting too much focus on my studies rather than anything else.
Mm.
And I remember hearing that as a kid, and I was like, why is an adult apologizing to me? Why is my own mother apologizing? This is weird, you know? And I was like,
It's interesting.
yeah. And I was like, thank
I feel
you.
like that's more the norm now. I've definitely apologized to my kids for things that I've done. Like I've been like, I'm sorry, that was that was very guilt trippy of me or something, you know, like I've genuinely like acknowledged in the moment of the behavior. And I think it's good to be able to do those sorts of things, especially with your kids, because when you can identify the bad behavior that you've done, then they can recognize it in other people and then hopefully put up boundaries and that kind of thing, because they recognize, oh, that's not okay because my mum apologized for doing that thing because it wasn't okay. So yeah. I actually asked ChatGPT to create a question around this particular topic, because I have had somebody express regret over the way they treated me. I've actually had a couple of people
Oh,
in particular that I was thinking of to want to have this question. And that is a couple of people I went to high school with. They told me that they didn't like the way that they had treated me in school. Like I got teased a bunch in school. And they acknowledged that and said that they could have treated me better than they did in school. And I was by then, I mean, I was old enough that I was over it. Didn't, you know, phase me. But what's interesting about these two women is that they had become probably the most engaged people from high school to interact with my Facebook posts, right? Since then. So despite the fact that their history, like in school, they didn't treat me the greatest, because we were connected on Facebook, one of them, like her mother had died from cancer, just like mine had, like her a few years later. But because of that, like she connected with me on that kind of level. And so we had, you know, developed some more like back and forth engagement. And I was like fine with things at that point. Like I'm like, clearly she's grown since back then. I sort of might have been a little bit jealous of her back then, but also had like different opinions. So like, well, she's a little bit stuck up. Like that's probably what was going through my mind back in our teen years. Um, and but yeah, still hearing that apology and uh, like receiving that still meant a lot to me, even though I was past it. It still meant a lot to me to hear it and to know that they had actually thought about it and regretted it. Like it makes a difference.
hmm
Um, and and the reason I think that's important to share that is because I don't think a lot of people really understand the impact that it can have, like even years later, to receive that apology or to receive that expression of regret of how someone treated you. Um, even if they, you know, they've clearly moved on with their lives, that it's not directly impacting them day to day now, it can still, you know, be heartwarming and memorable to know that uh, someone learned from that experience and has regret over it.
Yeah, I know. Like, for some reason, this question's make reminding me a lot of. Have you seen the Adam Sandler film Billy Madison?
Yes.
Yes. There's a scene where Billy he calls someone and he apologizes for the way he treated them, and I'm blanking on the actor's name that he's talking to, and the actor's just like, yeah, yeah, don't worry about it, it's fine, we were kids, don't worry. Hangs up the phone, and he cut to a list of people on his hit list, and he crosses out Billy's face,
Yes,
and I was like,
right.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I it's been so long since I've seen the film, but I do recall that now. And
yeah.
yeah, that's exactly right. Like it can make that much difference. Like even if it doesn't seem like that at the time. Like,
Hmm.
oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it matters.
I know. I think that the older, well, not older, the more mature we become a lot more empathetic, and we all realize, listen, everyone's going through a struggle we don't know about, and
Yeah.
so maybe just instead of treating everyone like a king or a queen, you don't have to do that. Just
Mm,
treat others the way you want to be treated. That's all.
yeah, that's right. All right. My dad has popped in just for a comment here. He
Right.
says, back from a doctor appointment, been listening while driving. So that has been who one of our listeners has been. So
Oh,
thanks, Dad, for tuning in. I figured that you would be very interested in this topic since you suggested it. All right. Our next question is, what regret feels too painful to share openly, yet continues to influence your choices?
that's the thing. Too painful to share openly is the key part
Right.
of
And then being asked to
right.
discuss it on a public live stream.
Oh, man.
We're sharing it openly now. Um, or if it's too painful to share openly, let's choose the one that can still is painful, but you're still willing to share it.
Um, let's see. I can't limit this down to one particular thing, but as we were on the topic of when I was in university, let's say about 18 to about 21, 22, um, aside from being not a great friend, I think the way I treated women as well wasn't great. Um, and I think that there wasn't one particular regret or memory per se, but something that's influenced me ever since is um, obviously when you're younger, you kind of put on this persona of who you want to be, and you want instant gratification and what have you.
Mm,
With I like to think a little bit more of maturity. You realize how surface level everything is, and I think that yeah, like if you like someone, tell them. And honestly, it's better to be kind to people, because when I say kind to people, I don't mean that you have to put on a persona. So I've noticed that whenever I've lost my temper, whether it's for valid reasons or not, I get emotionally drained for the entire day,
mm,
and I'll ruminate on what I said, what I did for the foreseeable future, and it's a nightmare. But where else if you kind of react positively to someone, you make an effort with someone. Uh, I mean, yes, you could say that it's selfish because it makes yourself feel good. But if the ends justify the means, then so be it, right? So I think to answer this question is um, when it comes to, let's say, my personal relationships with women, with friends, um, always try to be the best version you can be and treat them the way you want to be treated. That's all I can say.
I love that.
Hmm.
Yeah. So easy to have regrets around the way we treat people in relationships because we're not really taught very well about how to behave in relationships. It's not something that's
Right.
taught in school. Like we learn sex ed, but we don't learn relationship uh dynamics and behavior and that sort of thing. I think some schools is a bit better now. Like I know in my kids when they did sex ed in school, they cover things like consent and I probably some
Cool.
relationship stuff as well. But back in our day, that was not a thing at
Mhm.
all. So my for this is probably semi-related, but a little bit more specific to me, which I think probably a lot of other women will relate to, and that would be my early years as an adult, and my attraction to men who were like a decade plus older than me, um because and it's hard for me to describe this as a regret, because it's like, well, I learned from those experiences,
Mhm.
and I got stuff out of them. However, it would have been less painful to learn those things by not going through them. And so it's, being involved with guys who were 10 plus years older than me in my early 20s, specifically the guy I lost my virginity to and my ex-husband, developed uh in me this recognition of how influential uh young girls are, as much like I genuinely thought I was mature enough to understand what I was doing, and like I was attracted to them, it's fine, whatever. This is something I want to do. But as I got older, especially like with my ex-husband, like he, when we became polyamorous, like the women that he kept choosing was in a similar, not always, but sometimes, he kept choosing women who were the same or around the same age as I was when we met, which meant his girls kept getting younger, and it was like a thing. And over time, the impact that that had on me was just recognition that I felt very, um this is hard. It was challenging to that it led to the point of feeling like, and no one should ever feel like this, but it led to me feeling like I'm too old for him now, and like I'm never going to get something you know more substantial than this, because you know I'm too old now. I'm not like the attractive kind of uh age or whatever. My life experience now is such that I'm guys are just going to be wanting to keep clear of me. Like my history of the things that I did to get out of my relationship, and me the act of me even discussing the challenges that I had in that marriage, uh to me is like, well, that's a no go, let's not date her, because you know if things don't work out, she's going to be public about like all of the crap that we did. Like I now have like these, and I don't want to say I regret talking about these things, but um it has led to me feeling like uh it's had a direct impact on how I decide to date, and if I decide to date, and what I um how I approach things. It's led to me having very, very strong opinions about older guys dating younger women, even in situations where it is actually healthy, because the chance of it leading to toxicity, or the chance of it having some power imbalance or grooming aspect to it, even if unintentional, is quite high. Like the woman in that moment might feel this is fine, I'm consenting to this. But years later, they might look back on it and think, oh, fuck, that was really fucked up. Um, because that's how I felt about it. Right.
Mhm.
And again, I don't feel like I can claim this as a fully as a regret, because my kids are amazing and I love my kids, and I would not have them without that history. I would not have them without marrying my ex-husband. And but it's so challenging to balance that out. And um yeah, I it's still, yeah, very hard. And like it still directly impacts how I choose to interact with my ex-husband nowadays. Like just this past week he was I asked him if I could try and look in the old filing cabinet that he took, because there was some documents that I didn't think that I couldn't find, so I thought I must have left them in this filing cabinet. And he decided to go off on this tirade about all the things that I had done, some things that I hadn't, they weren't all accurate, but he believed that I had done these negative things. And I reached the point of being like, dude, it's not even within my best interests to try and ruin your reputation, because I want you to get a respectable job. And if I ruin your reputation, it's not conducive to the outcome that I want, which is you having a respectable job, earning a living that I know that you're capable of. Um, and but like generally, like in the past like 5 years, anytime that he would come up with an accusation or be angry about our past history at me, I would just ignore it, because like I didn't want to have to deal with that anymore. So yeah, it sucks. That the longest relationship I had was also the most painful, that I went through all of these things, because I've had so many other great experiences with uh, other men who were nothing like him.
Yeah, it's very very painful. But at the end of the day, though, there were. I mean, wouldn't you say there were some good things that came out of it?
Yeah, my kids.
Yeah,
I said that.
I was literally about to say.
Also, moving to Malaysia. Like,
Yeah.
if I hadn't married him, I would never the experience of moving to Malaysia and all of the friends that I made there, and then coming here, and the experiences that I've had here. Now, yes, granted, I'm like packing up all my shit. Like, you can see behind me, like boxes now instead of my figures that I had last week. No Lego anymore. All of the Lego is all almost entirely packed up. I have my roller coaster set is waiting for some new crates that will fit the large halves of it in, and then all of my Lego will have been packed up. Apart from this X-Men set that is still partially being built, that's like right, but yeah, right here. I'm still, and I'm debating:
Oh, the X-Men.
do I finish this set, or do I leave it partially built and then finish building it once I move? I'm not sure what's the best choice right now. Yeah, so I wouldn't have so much desire to move back to Malaysia had it not been for all of those experiences. So yes, and that's why I said, like, it's hard for me to say that it's completely a regret because of everything positive that came out of that experience. Even if I don't have really very many positive memories of my time with him specifically, the surrounding things would definitely had more positive experiences.
I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, though, it's as annoying as it is the painful experiences that really shape us more moving forward. Don't we? We always, as humans, we tend to remember the bad over remembering the good.
Right.
So I think in some ways, it. I understand why it's painful, but at the same time, it's something that maybe not that we should be grateful for, but is something that that should be happy that it happens to you now rather than later on in your life, right?
Mhm.
So and you are who you are because of it.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just took me a long time to get back to my authentic self
But you got there.
after all those things.
But you
Like
got there.
it's the the direct impact of that relationship is one of the reasons that I struggled to be my most authentic self and vocalizing the things that I was thinking in my last relationship. And I kind of in a way wish that I'd had like a relationship in between that I could have practiced on before coming back to the other one so that I would have been more prepared in a way. But yeah, it's tricky. All right, my dad has left us a
Oh,
few more comments in here. So
let's hear it, Frank.
he says, Sharad, write about maturity, developing empathy, and learning forgiveness.
Yeah, you just have to do it.
Yeah. And he also says he had an ex bully apologize to him after reading one of his Facebook posts about autism and bullying. Amazing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's I'm interested in the fact that you were connected to him on Facebook also. But my dad might be like me and just like accepted a friend request from people who bullied them like I did. Like, things might be different now. I think one of the reasons that I might have friended some of these people is because at the time, like I was married then and I felt like I was better than I seemed to be in high school. Like, look, I have all this good stuff going for me. I have this husband, and like I felt more confident and attractive, which made me feel like I show them I'm not the person they thought I was. I think that was probably part of my influence why I was like fine with connecting to people that didn't seem to like me in high school.
I don't know, 'cause I think when we're younger in that age, that's when usually all that bullying happens, isn't it? So, a lot of times, people. I mean, people grow, and when you're a teenager, and well, you're a kid to a teenager, people can be cruel.
Yeah.
So it's only until we become an adult when maliciousness kicks in. But usually, about before that, it's just people trying to find themselves, and perhaps they just go about it the wrong way.
Yeah. Too much of the wrong influences about how to behave in order to be popular or part of the in crowd or whatever.
Right.
All right. My dad's next comment says, it was enlightening to me. I felt blessed over his own self reflection. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So again,
Yeah.
amazing things that can happen when people apologize and reflect on their regretful behavior. All right, this is, I believe, the final question, which this is the only question that ChatGPT didn't write. I wrote this question myself because I thought this could be an interesting discussion point. Have you ever made a decision that you think other people would regret, but has continued to be the right decision for you?
Yes. I think I might have mentioned this either on stream or to you personally before. I'm not entirely too sure. Um, when I was in the hospital with Guillain-Barré syndrome at the time, um, my ex came to come visit me, which was very, very kind of her. At this point, we weren't talking. So the fact that she came when I reached out when I was very vulnerable, um, I I she we were talking at the time, and she said, listen, like because she spoke to my doctors and whatever, and we didn't know if I would really get any better. And I remember she sat down next to me, and then actually she got into my hospital bed with me, which was very, very nice because I got very emotional because I didn't think I would recover. And she told me, like, if this is what you need, uh, oddly enough, she was actually in a relationship with someone else, and she said, "Listen, I'll end things with him. I'll stay with you, and I'll look after you." And that was a lot because I was very, very emotional, and getting this was a lot. And
Mm.
I remember the next day or a few days after that, she came back, and I told her, "Listen, you can't live your life this way, and if you do stay with me, you're going to regret this." And she herself got very upset, and I told her, like, it won't be today, it won't be tomorrow, but down the line, I don't want um, I don't want you to live your life thinking, "Oh, I should have done this, or I was compelled to do that."
Mm.
So it was by far the hardest thing I ever had to do, but I had to let her go. I had to tell her, like, listen, like, thank you, you mean the world to me, and uh, it would be so, so, so easy for me to let you in, but I have to think about you, and I have to think about us. And yeah, so it's by far the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was the not the best thing I ever done. It was the most correct thing I could have done in that situation. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see how that's a situation where other people would regret making that decision. They'd be like, "Oh man, I shouldn't have let it go. I should have said yes." Yeah,
Mm.
that's a tough one. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, you've definitely shared that before, but I think it's very pertinent for this particular question. So I'm glad you brought it up again.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Meanwhile, I feel like my answer to this question, I'm not going to go through all of the details about why I think other people would regret this because I want to save that for my memoir when I publish it, and people can find out the specifics in that. Uh, but just one of my former relationships, we got together in a way that other people, I think, would be like, that wasn't the best of decisions. But I don't regret it because he is one of my best friends to this day. He I mentioned before you joined the stream, Sharon, I was video chatting with somebody right beforehand, and this is who I was video chatting with. This is former partner of mine who
Ah, okay.
is to this day one of my best friends. And he knows like all of my secrets, and I feel I one of the reasons I have such a strong connection with him is I feel so validated by him. All of the bullshit that I go through, like I feel like I can say anything to him about what has gone on in my life, and he won't judge me for it.
Mm,
And without having like he was the first person that I was involved with after my ex-husband decided that he wanted us to be in a polyamorous relationship. So he was the first person I was involved with. And without experiencing him, I don't know that I ever would have realized or discovered how much better I could be treated in a relationship with someone compared to the way that I felt in my relationship with my ex-husband. Because yeah, obviously I did like strong comparisons, and I know that's not a healthy thing to do. But like when someone is treating you badly in a toxic way, then you can like it's hard not to compare when someone starts treating you way better than that. Um, and yeah, so that's why even though the circumstances about how we got together were not the greatest, then I think that other people might regret having such a relationship. That aspect is why that has continued to be the right decision to me, because without him in my life as a strong rock on an ongoing basis for several years, I don't know that I would be who I am today without that.
Well, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
No worries. I'm glad I wrote that question. See, sometimes human written questions are better. Maybe I should write more questions
Maybe you
rather
should.
than getting ChatGPT to write them all for me. I'm lazy. That's why I get ChatGPT to do it.
That's fine.
And then I'm like, sometimes I have to edit them anyway. All right. My dad does have a few more comments for us before we end the stream. A little bit shorter tonight, but that's fine because Mike had to leave early anyway. Okay, one more comment from my dad. He says, regret over early childhood toileting experiences. Even talking to a psychologist about these, lots of shame and embarrassed moments. Two key words related here: shame and embarrassment.
I think that's something I think virtually 99% of the human population can relate to. Um, it's amazing how as we get older, we have fewer and fewer memories of our childhood, but it's always, let's say, a good chunk of them will be these negative toileting experiences. I mean, it happens, bro, and it is what it is. But uh, yeah, I mean, it's shame and embarrassment is definitely the key thing there. But at least that's all it was. It wasn't as if your health was infected, was affected by it. But yeah, I mean, like it's something that we all go through.
I wonder if he was impacted by this because of how his parents reacted in the moment, because I feel like that can make a difference if you have an accident somewhere that you shouldn't, and your parents are like, oh my god, I can't believe you do that, and they get angry at you for it, then of course you're going to feel more shame and embarrassment over those experiences. Whereas, like, when my kids had accidents, my reaction tended to be more like, oh, well, these things happen. Let's just clean it up. It'll be fine. And I don't think that they have had the same kind of shame and embarrassment growing up as a result. Hopefully they haven't. They certainly haven't said anything to me about it. And like one of them included like when my son, before we knew he was autistic, we went to Six Flags Discovery Kingdom in Vallejo, which is just north of where I live. And he was toilet trained at the time, but we were in a public place for the entire day, and he just held it until he couldn't hold it anymore, because it turned out he didn't want to go into the public bathroom, or it might have been just after he was diagnosed. I can't remember, but I remember having this experience of like taking him to the bathroom to get him cleaned up afterwards, and realizing that one of the reasons that he didn't like being in the public restroom was because the sound of the hand dryer really impacted his sensory experience, right? Because sensory overload is one of the autism diagnosing factors. So, as much as like, hearing the hand dryer might seem normal for everyday people, going off and on all the time in a public restroom that always people are going through, it impacts people with sensory processing issues a lot more. So, it got to the point of us realizing, or at least me realizing, it was a good idea to get some earmuffs that he could wear that will protect his ears more in those kinds of situations. And, we dealt with it. But Yeah, I definitely tried to handle those situations in a way that he wouldn't experience shame and embarrassment over them. Of like, treated it more in the, these things happen, we'll deal with it, and we'll learn from it. It's fine. You know?
That's good.
Yeah. The other thing I'm picking up on this comment in particular is just that shame and embarrassment aspect. That those things are some of the things that hold us back from a lot of decisions that we might otherwise make, and they can shape our decisions. Um, and for me, I've definitely had a lot of shame and embarrassment in my past, but I'm now at the point where I try to embrace those feelings and experiences and hold myself with care, and I think I'm actually growing as a result. I'll give a recent example that kind of relates to this. So in the past, like if I made a mistake, I might have berated myself for being so stupid to have made such a mistake, right? And
Mhm.
like shame, embarrassment, what a dumbass kind of thing. Um, this past week, as I said, I've been packing up all my stuff. So this past weekend, I'd been packing up all the books in my room, and I moved the boxes downstairs to relocate them elsewhere, so that we're out of the way. And I put one of the boxes on the uh, mat that leads to the back door, right? And then I stacked a bunch of other boxes on top of it, like three boxes high of graphic novels, so like very heavy boxes. Um, and my clothes drying rack was nearby, so I did laundry around the same time, and my washing machine does not always finish properly, and so sometimes the clothes are wetter than they should be. But I'm like, I'm not going to rerun the the end of the cycle until it actually finishes properly. So I just went and hung them up on the drying rack, and some of the clothes drip dried onto the mat, the same mat that I'd put that bottom box. And I didn't realize until I went to move the boxes out of that space that the bottom box had gone wet.
Mm.
And I was like, oh fuck.
Oh,
But like, I was like, well, you know what? The only person I can blame is myself.
yeah.
And it's not that big of a deal. It just means I wasted a box that I'd paid for to box up all my things. Um, and so I ended up turning the box upside down and opened it from underneath and took out the bottom books to see how many of them were moisture damaged, and just dealt with it. I was like, it's fine. So I feel like I treated myself in the same way that I treated my kids when they had those toilet accidents.
Interesting.
Right? It was like, you know what? It's fine. We can deal with it. We'll fix it and handle it as best as possible. It ended up only one of my graphic novels really had any kind of probably long lasting moisture damage. Thank goodness. I'm surprised it was just the one. I had to, it was just like the bottom part of it, like a like triangle corner of the bottom part of the graphic novel. So I ended up, but there was more that there was moisture on more, but and I handled them all the same way, but there's just the one that had the worst damage. So I ended up like standing them up upside down and trying, just waiting for them to air out. And so I think this one like took a couple of days to finally air out, and there's like warped back cover and like the corner of the pages at the bottom as well. I'm just like, oh well. And like when pages get stuck together and then it dries, then like when you try to separate them, then part of the page can come off on the other page. So I was like so careful to try and avoid that sort of thing happening.
Were you just
I was like slowly. I was like put my hand at the bottom, like slowly pull it out.
Just get like a steamer out and just
yeah, I don't know. I there probably would it might have been smarter to, like, while it was still wet, to put like a page, like a dry thing in between.
a dry sheet. Yeah,
that might have been smarter, but I didn't think about that until it was already mostly dry. But I think for the most part, even when I was separating them like very slowly and carefully, very little from one page got stuck to the other page. And even though it's like warped now, because that was the book that was at the bottom, when I repacked it, it's at the bottom again. So I'm hoping by the time I open it up again, it'll be like at least flat. And it won't be as noticeable, because it'll probably be months before I open the boxes again.
Good. And by that point, who knows, maybe you probably forgot about it. So yeah, great.
Exactly. So, that's like when I can handle a situation like that, that's my take of like, well, yeah, it sucked, but there's no reason for me to be ashamed of the fact that I did such a stupid thing as to let my wet clothes get the mat wet while I had a box on. I dealt with it, and it could have been a lot worse. Probably
a lot more worse. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, my dad has one more comment for us here. He says, self-forgiveness requires self-love, which requires some kind of being loved example in order to recognize love. God's love connected for me. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of what I was talking about. There's no way that I would have handled that situation that I just talked about the same way without some level of self-love.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Like, oh, it's fine. Take care of myself. Treat the inner child. It's fine. We're okay. I'm so grateful to be able to have grown out of that and have these kinds of experiences now.
Good.
So my life has changed so much over the years. All right, and then my dad has one last comment here. I agree, Shard. Yes, parents and grandparents were a part of it. Okay, with the comment that I had with the way his parents responded. So grandparents were also reacted not the great way to those issues of the past. Oh wait, my dad has wearing nappies as an adult also a factor.
Yeah, bro, I feel you.
Well, you are at that age now, so that shouldn't be as much of an embarrassment, where a lot more people your age are also going through those experiences. I hope it's not as bad now. Unless he's talking about when he was younger and not like in the age range that he is now. All right, well, that's all the questions that I had. Anything else that you would like to discuss on the topic of life regrets, Sharad?
Hopefully we'll have less and less as the years go on.
That's right. Hopefully we do. But as I said at the top of the show, always good to, even when you have those regrets, find something positive out of it, because then it'll feel less like a regret and more like a lesson. Yeah.
For sure.
Live life with as few regrets as possible. All right, I don't know what next week's topic is going to be yet, but it will be something. It will probably be on Thursday again. Friday for Australia, Asia time zones. And just keep an eye out on the YouTube channel to find out the details of the time and topic of when we'll be live. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can find out and get a notification for when we are actually live. If you're watching after the fact, thank you so much. Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section below. We do love to hear from our audience. And if you have any questions that you would like to ask us or topics that you'd like to see us discuss in future live streams, we'd love to hear those too.